Coming up on the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener podcast, Joey and Holly will talk about ways to reuse old eggshells around the house, our garden tip of the week, our vegetable of the week. We're always prepping for whatever may come our way, and we're reusing and repurposing everyday items. Our guest this week, she is the owner of ManureTea.com, Moo Poo Tea, Annie Haven. The link will be live in the show notes September 12th, 6 a.m. Central Standard Time on BePreparedRadio.com and downloadable from iTunes.
We're in the strawberry patch today, not picking them, but fertilizing them. And later on, we'll take a behind-the-scenes look at one of the things that we do weekly, our radio interview segment, to show others and teach others how to grow their own food. All that and a whole lot more coming up today on the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener.
This program was funded by the following.
At dollarseed.com, all of our seeds are only $1 a pack. And we have online resources that teach you all about the rewarding hobby of growing your own plants, flowers, herbs, and vegetables. Imagine the joy you'll feel when your children actually help you harvest your first garden crop, or the pride of knowing you'll never need a florist again. Visit dollarseed.com and grow a little magic of your own for just $1. Dollarseed.com. What could be healthier?
Willow Springs Soap Company is a locally owned Colorado business just a stone's throw away from the Rocky Mountains. Their handmade soap is made from simple, recognizable ingredients, which lead to a more natural, earth-friendly, long-lasting, and hard bar with a wonderful creamy lather. They make soap using the cold kettle process with a specially formulated recipe of 100% vegetable oils. They use traditional methods that produce a true soap instead of the commercial synthetic alternatives that can dry out skin. Go to www.willowspringssoap.com to get a fresh and natural clean, handmade in the Rockies.
The Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener now has a product line from t-shirts to sweaters to cups to bumper stickers and hundreds of other items with their likeness. Go to WisconsinVegetableGardener.com and click on TWVG product under the scarecrows on the right-hand side.
Welcome to the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener. I'm Joey Baird. This show is dedicated to the average gardener, simple home living, and using what you already have. Well, it's the beginning of September, and we're in the strawberry patch, not to pick them, but to prep them for next spring. We've got a small strawberry patch we planted. It's the second year of it, so we're going to fertilize it. And why do we fertilize it in September? Well, because that's when they're at their fruit bud initiation stage. They start getting their fruit ready for next spring's production. So we've got a lot of things going on here. Now what I've done is I've come in and I've removed as many of the larger weeds and stalks as I can. Now you don't want to get too crazy with this because you got a lot of runners. What's a runner? Well, it's these things here. The mother plant, which is this plant here, will put off runners, or they're called daughters. This one's every bit of 5 foot tall. And as you can see, they will eventually bear some roots and attach themselves to the ground. They've grown all the way out in our tomato patch here. So what I'm doing is I'm bringing them back into the main strawberry bed. And I'm doing a couple of things with them. I'm layering back in. We have no defined rows in this bed anymore because of the runners. So what I'm doing, I'm taking just a normal stick, making sure things are not tangled too bad here, finding a hole or finding a spot, and then just putting those roots in that hole, pushing the dirt around it. Strawberries are a very shallow rooted plant, and then once they have the soil around those roots, they'll establish them even more. We've got the perimeter around the strawberry patch with our fan grates just to keep animals out and add a little border around it so it kind of defines the patch. So what we've got going on here is they've grown through the grate, so I have to pull them back. Now in removing the weeds from the patch, accidents happen and runners or daughter plants get removed or tore away from the plant. But with these, you have a very good root establishment already. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to plant them back in the ground. And with the daughter plants, if you wanted to and had the time, what you can do is take a plastic cup or a saucer planter, fill it with soil, and then just lay these, nestle them in that soil, and as the roots develop, then you can actually snip them off the mother plant, take that transplant and move it somewhere else in the garden or establish a new bed. Just like this, these will grow just fine. I'm going to leave them all attached because this farthest daughter plant hasn't got the root establishment, so I kind of want to leave them all together to give that the absolute best chance. So we'll just take and we'll plant right here, dig a nice hole, plant that one. I'm going to put another one right beside it, and then these will produce runners next year. Now with the one that has not got any roots on it, I'm just going to lay it on top of the soil and let it eventually grow roots. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull the rest of these runners in the bed, and then we're going to fertilize them. Each week we feature a Facebook page of the week, and this week it's Hughes Nursery from the United Kingdom. Hughes Nursery, he's an avid teenager who loves to grow organically. You can go to his Facebook page and find links to his famous YouTube channel, as well as ask him questions that he's more than happy to find you the answer for. So we'll have a link in the show notes for his Facebook page, Hughes Nursery. So I've got all the runners pulled into the bed as best that I can. Now I did find that right here we've got a very large runner that has established growth there. So what I've decided to do is I'm just going to leave it there, and I've got another one here that's got a very good root system. So next year I'll just expand this bed out another foot and put the row, right beside him, because this bed is going to continually expand over the years. We're just going to have to be careful when we harvest our Yukon Gold potatoes here, but that shouldn't be too big of an issue. So let's get to the fertilizing portion of this. We've got fertilizer stakes, organic fertilizer stakes from Winchester Gardens. They have a great line of organic fertilizer. We'll have the link to their website in the show notes. This is not just for strawberries, but it's for berries in general. Blueberries, raspberries as well, container and ground. So you get these little spikes here, and they smell really good. You get 50 of these little spikes. Now the recommendations is to place 4 to 6 inches away from the mother plant and 2 to 4 inches away from the daughter plants or the runners. About 8 spikes per square foot. It's your decision whether or not you want to go that many or not. So it's very simple. We'll just start on this end of the bed. We'll find out what we have here. So we've got a daughter plant here, so we're going to just push the spikes in the ground. Now they don't have to go down very deep because it is they're shallow rooted. Now if you're going to do this and it's been extremely dry where you're at, you'll want to soak the bed. Now these will break apart on you, and they're just kind of molded together, so if you push too hard they're going to kind of burst into a powder, but that's not a problem. But if it's really dry, just go ahead and soak the surface down real good. Just push them in. Now I'm just going to go through here, and I'm going to use all 50 of these because that's about what we'll need here. About 8 per square foot is what we need. And it will greatly enhance the productivity of your plants, get them well setted for the winter months and have a better production next spring. Now if you don't want to soak your bed, or you've soaked your bed and it's still very tough and dry, just take your stick like we did with the runners of the daughter plants, go about 4 to 6 inches beside the plant, push that stake in, cover it up, and you're good to go. So another way to get the fertilizer in the ground without hurting your hands or busting the stakes up.
So today we're going to take the beets that we've grown and we're going to pickle them. And they're simple to do. There are a few different steps, but it's pretty simple to pickle beets, and you only need to do it with a hot water bath canner. So we actually bought this bunch of beets at the farmer's market yesterday just to add to our what we already harvested. And we got this bunch of beets, I think it was $2. And then we've harvested these, and we've been holding on to them to pickle them, and then we just harvested these yesterday. So to start the process, what you want to do is you want to cut the tops off and leave about 1 inch or so of the tops, and we kind of forgot about that when we did these, but that's okay, it's not a big deal. So I'm going to trim them down, and then what we're going to do is we're going to wash them off just with a little scrubber brush. Just give them a nice little wash, and then we have to cook them. And you want to cook them to get the peels off. You boil them in just hot water for about 25 minutes. You can add a little salt if you want, you don't have to. And so let me got those. And you know, if you harvest the beets fresh, you can actually eat the tops, eat the green portions. That's real good to eat, but if you know, like us, have kept them for a while, you might not want to do that. So let me just keep these trimmed off here. Okay, so we've cleaned them off, and now we're just going to put them in the boiling water, and they're going to boil for about 25 minutes. Oh. Okay, so while your beets are cooking, or as they get closer to being done cooking, you can make the pickling liquid, which is what you need to put inside the jars with the beets. And in the pan we have a cup of water. Then we're going to add 2 cups of vinegar to that, a half a cup of sugar, and then you make this little spice packet, and you can use cheesecloth. If you don't have cheesecloth or don't want to buy it or whatever, you can use coffee filters, and I just use 2 coffee filters. And in here we have a teaspoon of whole allspice, 6 whole cloves, and then about 3 inches of cinnamon. And then you just take it, make it into a little packet, twist it, and then you can just tie it off. I will tie mine twice just to make sure it's nice and tied. Okay. So then what you want to do is you want to mix this all together, and you want to put it on the stove, bring it to a boil, reduce the heat, and let it simmer uncovered for 5 minutes. So that's what we're going to do. So what you want to do is, once your beets are done cooking, you want to take them, you can drain them. We're just going to use this handy thing because it works pretty well. You want to put it in some cool water. I had some ice in there, but I guess it melted. That's fine. And you just want to get them in there so that they cool down, so that you can peel the skins off and chop them up without burning your hands. Now, I think I forgot to mention that we are doing this recipe based off of about 3 pounds of beets, and actually I got the recipe out of this Better Homes and Gardens. Sometimes they put out publications, like these special magazines, and it's a canning magazine they put out, and there's all sorts of canning recipes in here. But I'm going to post the recipe on our website, and I'm going to start peeling the beets and chopping them up. And beets are really easy to peel. You just take your thumbnail and you just peel the skin off. And so while I'm doing this, I just want to let you know that, as you know, we have a podcast every Wednesday that comes out in the morning, and every week we feature a vegetable of the week. And if you want to hear about the history of the beets, we actually, this week, so tomorrow, when our podcast comes out, you can listen in for the history of the beet. So that's something to look forward to. And you obviously want to take the tail off. So we have the last beet we're gonna chop up here, and we discovered that if you take a spoon just like this and get it to peel it along, you just run it underneath the skin and it helps peel it off real nicely. And what you want to do just to chop it up is you want to cut off this big part here, and then if there's any little weird tail part, you can cut that off. And then if you have little beets, those do take a little bit longer to peel because it's just less surface area. You have to be more specific about it. And then you just want to chop these up in, pretty much just bite-sized pieces. Not really any sort of method to that. And then one last chop here. Okay, so that's all done. Let me just move this out of the way. We've already got one loaded up here, and then we're gonna get these jars filled up and put the brine to top it off. You can use wide mouth jars, you can use regular jars. You can use half pints or pints. We use pints here for this. Let me get a couple more in there. You can kind of push them down a little bit. Okay, so the way we do it is we put the beets in there, and then we just take and put the brine in there. And then just like any other canning project you do, you just put your 2-piece lids on. And we measured our headspace. The headspace was a 1/2 inch. And we got rid of the air bubbles, and then you just put your lid on. You just want to finger tighten them. And then we're going to put these in the canner, and you canner them for 30 minutes in a hot water bath canner. If you put them in the canner and the water is not boiling right away, you don't start timing the 30 minutes until the water starts to boil again. And as you've seen before, you just go ahead and put them onto a towel to let them cool, and then you'll hear the lids pop.
When it comes to repurposing or reusing items in the house, there's a variety of different ways to go about doing it. You can take one of these. Now, what is this? This is the VCR tape box that most of us have laying around the house. Now, you can turn this into a very creative raised frame with a hidden compartment in it. Now, we've taken a picture from a seed catalog, which was a peanut squash, and put it in the front of it. You can also take, they're very easy to take the paperwork out. You slide your picture in, and on here I've got some flat magnets. This is also good if you're going to put it on your refrigerator, if nothing more for a decorative look to the kitchen. You can also take and you could attach it to the wall with tape, or if you're going to be a permanent fixture in your house, you can take and put 2 small screws through the back of it to attach it to the wall. So you just put it on the wall. And what can you put in it? Well, you can put a variety of things in it. Everything from index cards to maybe a pack of gum that you're wanting to hide from someone. You could also put a spare key or other items in, or you can just leave it empty and have a variety of them on the wall, because I know many of us have a lot of these VCR boxes that we just don't use anymore. So another way to repurpose something old to something new.
In addition to the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener and the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Extra, also the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener podcast, which comes out weekly, Joe and Holly also make appearances on radio, blog talk, and internet radio programs to teach others how to grow their own food. Like this interview on Acacia Temple Live blog talk with Ruth Ann, Casey, and Agrimony. The link for this interview will be in the show notes.
Going all over the place. And meanwhile, it is time for the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardeners.
Right.
Seek your abundant harvest with the Wisconsin Gardeners on Acacia Temple Live.
I'm Joey.
I'm Holly.
And we're the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com. And today we're going to talk about a subject that we need to start thinking about now for us to have good fruits and vegetables in our garden next year, and that's seeds. Now is the best time to think about seeds. A lot of the seed companies now are having sales, closeout in sales for their seeds that we can purchase now and get a discount on and plant next year. So we're going to look at 3 types of seeds, not so much the variety, but the types. They're heirloom, organic, and hybrid seeds.
So going forward with heirloom seeds, heirloom basically means they've been around for a long time.
Prior to 1951,
Right.
Before the chemical change happened to them.
Right, and they're people like the species of vegetable that they are, and they have not been improved, created,
Modified
in a laboratory.
Yes, these are the seeds that have been passed down from families for hundreds of years. And there's, we're not going to get into the details on how to grow them and how to save the seeds. That's for another show, another time. But if you're going and you're going to buy seeds from a seed store or from a nursery or catalog, you want to go, one of the choices can be heirloom, and that's the traditional traits of the plant. Now, another way you can go is organic. Now, what does organic mean?
Well, organic means that they are, it has, let's see.
They're grown without any chemicals.
Right.
Grown naturally with natural things like compost, bone meal, natural items you would find in nature. No chemicals or modifications to the seeds at all.
Yeah, so in order for it to be certified organic, it had to have been grown with natural fertilizers and pesticides such as compost, bone meal, and soap sprays.
Right. So again, if you're going to buy some seeds, you want to buy heirloom or organic seeds, which means that seed was produced safely in the natural state. Now, one type of seed that we're going to talk about is hybrid. And this is the type of seed that gets a lot of people all wadded up. Now, in around 1951 or so, chemical companies started to modify seeds. They went in and genetically altered and sometimes crossbred two plants to get a better plant, such as plant 1 has good fruit production and plant 2 has good color. So they bred the two together to modify it to get a better end result. Why is that bad?
Because it's the genetics of it has been altered.
It has been altered, right. Now, a staggering statistic that we have found is that there's one chemical company in the country that is trying to monopolize that's buying out every other seed company. So we'll talk about that in a minute. So what you want to steer away from, if at all possible, when you buy seeds, whether now through catalog or online sales or at your local garden center when they go on sale now, is hybrid or is heirloom or organic seeds. You want to steer away from the hybrid, which is just not healthy for us to eat. Now, the staggering statistic is what?
Is that Monsanto now is estimated to control between 85 to 95% of the U.S. nursery market.
Then what that means is they are buying up every small seed company and chemical company to make it their own. Even if you buy potting soil from your local home garden center, you want to do your research, because the label on the bag may be what you've always bought for 20 years, but when you look at who actually owns the company, Monsanto is now buying up a lot of the small companies, leaving the bags as they were, but putting their stamp of approval on the back side. So go to your local seed website. We're affiliated with dollarseed.com, and they have seeds on sale now. They're organic seeds, and they're really good and affordable to buy now while they're on sale. I'm Joey.
And I'm Holly.
And we're the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardeners.
All right, guys. And good info, and please buy organic seeds. We also have a question from a listener for you guys.
Sure.
And they said, like, if you don't know, well, do you know where they can find out? How do they keep squirrels away? They've been having a terrible time with the squirrels in the garden. After the plants start up.
Okay. One thing you can do is cage your plants. Let's say you've got a new plant that you're going, a pepper plant you've planted in the ground. One way to deter the squirrels is take an old milk crate and sit on top of that plant to keep the squirrels from getting in there and eating that plant or destroying that plant. Typically, animals will avoid conflict or restrictions to get to food when they can just go to the neighbor's yard and get a free meal if you've got fences or gates or a milk crate over top of your plants to keep them away.
Also, a lot of people find that using just some cayenne pepper mixed with water sprayed on the plants will keep the pests away as well. They don't want to have to deal with that.
Right. It may not be fun for the squirrel to ingest or inhale the cayenne pepper, but it's a lot better than some alternative methods that you could do to rid the pests from your garden.
Okay, that's good, because they've just been hassled and so frustrated. So thanks for coming on talking about the seeds. I was off for a minute, so I didn't know if you were telling people, but like when they're buying their vegetables and things, if they buy in the store, to go by the numbers, because everything that we have, it seems to be treated. If it's not organic, it's been treated by conventional means, which is spraying, etc. And then the GMOs is even worse, because
right.
Hybrid, the conventional, all fall into the same group, because hybrid was what, like, my parents used to, my mother did a tree, with 3 different kinds of apples and had that, which was a hybrid. But, of course it wasn't GMOs because we didn't have GMO back then. But it's good to keep the word out to people about the different kinds so that they will have a chance to have some safer food. But anytime you can get organic, we're there. So thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Good night.
Well,
that's all the time we have. Hope you enjoyed the show as much as we enjoyed bringing it to you. Just moving some of these daughter plants around just to fill in some of the dead spots. And if you're going to fertilize them, you want to fertilize them right away here in September because you want to get them established before the cold hits. And those pickled beets, there's nothing better than cracking open a jar of pickled beets, even if that's the only thing you eat for a meal. For Holly and myself here at the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener, reminding you, take a shot gardening and start growing some memories.
For more organic gardening, visit the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com.